to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Before I get to the show today, a quick shout out to Kirsch for sponsoring the show. Have you gone to Kirsch.com yet to find out who your local distributor is? If not, you need to do this. It is the only way you are going to discover all of the types of rods, tracks, and systems Kirsch has for your window treatment projects. Go to Kirsch.com. And if you're headed to the IWCE in March 2020 in Charlotte, please stop by the Kirsch booth and you can get to see all the product in person. All righty. Today, I have Jaclyn with me. She is the woman behind the Instagram handle Jaclyn_Marie. So it's very specific spelling, JACLYN_MARI. Okay. Jaclyn is the principal of Jaclyn Marie Interiors based in Long Island, New York. Her journey into interior design, like many we have spoken about, has not been a direct line. In a nutshell, Jaclyn created an Instagram page that was getting so much attention that it began prompting person after person to ask her if she would design their space. And as she says to us today, I finally said to myself, all right, let me do this. Now, if you recall episode number 354 with Dina Holland from Honey and Fits, she had a very similar experience. She was writing a blog, gaining followers, talking about the projects that she was doing around her own home, and then all of a sudden, people started to reach out, and before you knew it, she was doing design projects. So the other similarity between these two ladies is how each describes the learning curve in coming to design this way, how each looked around for advice and insights on how to run their business, okay? And I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm not getting into a conversation about if you should have a degree or you should not. We all know many successful designers, from Nate Berkus to the lady or guy that's probably sitting next to you at the last design event that you went to, that have come to the industry in their own way, all right? What I know is, and what I will always talk about is, what does each of us have to share and teach the rest of us that will make our businesses more profitable? And Jaclyn has created an Instagram account that creates business for her design firm. That is non-debatable. And so today we're so lucky because she's going to share some tips about how she's done that. All right? Interested to learn that? Let's meet Jaclyn. Hi, Jaclyn. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, LuAnn. Thank you for having me.
So, Jaclyn, I'm going to share with everybody that my daughter, Christy, who runs my social, she follows you. And she does. She does. She follows you and she enjoys your Instagram posts and the mix of your personal life and your work life. And she started interacting and saying, do you know who my mom is? Would you like to be on the show, right?
Yes, she did. I was like, of course I know who your mom is.
So I'm really excited. And I'm so grateful that Christy found you, because ever since she brought you to my attention, I'm like, heck yeah, let's get this lady on the show.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yes. So Jaclyn, what I'm really, what I've come to learn, and I'm going to share with the audience here, is that, you basically, you did the Instagram, like you actually said to me, I had a personal Instagram account. I started it because it was 2012. It's what you did. And little by little, what became just what somebody does on social, like you have a Facebook page, became a legitimate, full-fledged platform that ultimately, the consumer just pulled you right through and said, go into business, basically. Be a designer, design for me, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that's that, you know, what's so crazy about that, Jaclyn, is, you know, there's like the rest of us out here that is actively trying to build our following. And more than that, it's not even about building the following, right? If you had 5,000 followers, but it yielded you even one new client a month, who would care if you had 25 or 40,000 followers, right? It's about that yield of what converts into a new client. And so many of us are having conversations all the time about what do you do? How do you do it? And here you organically did it. Like you didn't even take the classes on Instagram. You just did it by instinct, right?
Yeah, it just happened, and so many opportunities have come from it. And I'm so grateful that I do have a following, because I think that if circumstances were different and I'd have to start from scratch, it would be obviously so hard to get clients, because I get 99% of my clients through my Instagram. So yeah, it just happened organically. We bought a house in 2013, and I was just posting my do-it-yourself projects in my house. I wasn't even really interested in becoming a designer. I was just interested in doing the projects in my own house. And I would get featured by Home Goods or, you know, another follower who also enjoyed interior design. And it just grew and grew and grew. And then before you know it, my friends are like, what, are you famous on here? I'm like, no, I'm not famous.
Well, yeah, kind of.
I'm Instagram famous. No, but it's amazing that I was even able to have the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm not going to go back to a corporate job. I'm going to try this interior design out. And that, yes, I do strategically post, and I know what to post. And I get all my clients through Instagram, which, again, grateful and blessed to be able to have that platform.
And you know what's so interesting for me is that one of the things that I know to my core is that I can learn something from any human being that I have a long enough conversation with, whether sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's, 45 minutes, right? I know this. Every single one of us has something to teach, okay? So having said that, in the last 500 episodes, I'm not saying that every single interior designer that I've had on the show has been at the point where they can confidently say they're paying themselves $100K a year. You know what I mean? Like we had baby designers on the show, all different levels of experience, but everybody has taught us something. And I'll share with everybody our off-air conversation, because we did come after you and we did invite you and we did say, hey, you're doing something really cool out there, come on the show. And when you and I spoke, you said, quite honestly, LuAnn, I listen to your show because I'm really in the midst of still learning to lock down the business side of it, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it's funny because a lot of times we'll have a designer on the show that's been in business for 10 or 15 years and they're making money and they've got a staff and they've got their process and they're like, but I can't crack the Instagram code. I want to try and get my clients for Instagram. And you're a little bit the other way, but we're going to learn something from you today on the Instagram, and you'll have to keep listening to the other episodes to learn the other things, I have to tell you.
Absolutely. I mean, I was listening, you had Amber Interiors on. I was like, what the heck am I going to talk about? Amber Interiors is on. But no, I think that Instagram, I'm part of a group for Ivy. It's like another platform for interior designers. And I get a lot of the seasoned interior designers writing on there that, how are you doing this on Instagram? I don't ever post on Instagram. Where are you getting your clients from? And if you write Instagram, they're like, how?
Right.
So I think that it's good to, I have some knowledge that way. So
Absolutely.
Maybe I could share something.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know. So the thing is, we know that, well, I know because I've talked with you, but even you just alluded to it there. You started by posting for fun. It was a fun social platform, and you were doing over your own home, and you were having fun doing your DIY projects. It wasn't like you sat down and said, I need an Instagram strategy. And so the question is, we're going to need now for you to look backwards and say, knowing now what I know about Instagram and my 8 years experience doing Instagram, looking back, these were the things that maybe, yes, I might have done them organically or coincidentally, but these were the things, and these are the things, even with all the changes over 8 years, that are still valuable to think about in Instagram. Right, Jaclyn? So you're going to take take us back. So what would you say? Here I am. I'm in front of you. I, need and want to grow my Instagram following. What are some of the things that you would say to a room full of interior designers? What are the principles or the tenets or the key things to look at first?
So I would say to keep your feed neutral, bright, and not cluttered. So I have an app that I actually use. It was called like Planology, and I could put it on that app first to see if the living room that I posted yesterday goes with the kitchen I'm posting today. Because sometimes it just looks so cluttered and confusing. And then I feel like followers don't want to continue to look through your feed because it's not appealing to their eye. So I would feel that making your feed bright, like editing your pictures properly and just not posting so wood tones. I feel when I post like a living room with a wood coffee table, and then I'm going to post another room, say a bedroom, but the floor is super dark. I just feel like it just doesn't look nice on my feed.
Okay.
So I am strategic about what I'm posting and where I'm posting it.
So what we're not necessarily passing judgment on whether the room itself with the wood floor looks bad or not. We're just saying, where does it place on the grid
in your
and give
feed.
it
Right.
Okay.
All the pictures are beautiful, but I don't think that necessarily 3 dark pictures with maybe dark furniture look great if your whole feed is about light and bright or warm tones. So I would think that you just need to figure out where the picture works. So that's why that app Planology for me works very well.
Okay. So I've heard of Planoly. Is that this is a different one, Planology?
Planoly.
Oh, okay.
It might be the same. It might be the same.
And it might be a different
I'm
one.
literally staring at it. Yeah.
Okay. So I would just want to make sure we're clear on this, because we're not saying that one particular color isn't good. We're saying look at it in that nine
your
grid,
9
right?
Yeah, your 9 squares. I try to do that because if I'm looking back right now on Planoly, some of my pictures I feel maybe I shouldn't have put them there because there's like pillows everywhere. Like every picture has a pillow in it. And I just feel like, it just looks cluttered to me in those 9 squares.
Okay. And so by contrast, if somebody's look would be, maybe their look is color, right? I've interviewed several designers that their wheelhouse is like saturated color, bright, vibrant, vivid colors in all of their designs. But it's still the same thing. If it's just like not everything in red, or everything in red for 9 and then everything in green for another 9.
Yes.
Right.
People do that color theming where they do the 9 and then they switch over to, I have a friend who does fashion and she does that. Mm-hmm. She'll do all red for 9 and then she'll transition into whites and then she'll transition into pinks. But I also like to break up. So say like if on my feed, I put myself in there and then I'll do a home decor picture and then I'll do maybe a zoomed in picture of just built-in styling. So I'll have myself, a zoomed in picture of styling, and then a larger picture, like a whole kitchen, a whole living room, just to change it up.
Right. Okay. So, and that's another actual tactic that you use.
Yeah. I'm doing that on purpose.
Okay. All right. And so the number one thing is to look at the pictures in the grid and to take a look with one of these apps where you're able to do that before you post it and see the way it's going to look. And then whatever your strategy is, whether your strategy is color and it's transitioning, or your strategy is light and bright always, but to just give that some thought, and then to mix in different styles of pictures. Like you said, you share pictures. I have to say, Look, there are a lot of designers that don't ever share pictures of themselves. I know that, but I do like it when, it doesn't have to be every picture, but I do like it when I see the designer's face.
I like it too. I actually look for a picture. Like if I find your feed and I like your work, I scroll through to see like who you are. Who are you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I don't necessarily want to see you like at yoga in the morning and then coffee in the afternoon, but I want to see you. Right. And I feel like putting yourself on your feed, a lot of people who reach out to me and inquire about my services, they feel like they know me already because I'm sharing, I'm posting, I share a little bit of my, my home life as well. So I feel like they know exactly what they're getting and who they're getting when they're reaching out and they're hiring me.
Right. And that's another thing. So this is another thing that really, I think, you tell me what you think, but I feel like all the interviews I've had with people about Instagram, there are some people, we remember Lori Paranjape, her thoughts were the feed is the front of the house and the stories is the party in the back of the house, right? But I do think there are some personalities that it is like for you, you will share a little bit about your home life and about your 2-year-old and so forth. And it's not every day and it's not what you had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but for you, that's real, right? And that's how you want to do it. So again, I find that when I am at live events and we're talking this over in person with people, some designers will get tied up in knots and say, well, that one designer said never show your personal in your feed, and that other designer said, you know, you should have some personal in your feed. But it does come down to what feels right?
I agree. And what do you want to do? What do you want your feed to be? I know that, you know, I look on some designers' feeds and it is all their work, but for me, I started this way with mixing everything in. And I feel like that's why I get a following too, because some people are like, you know what? I'm a mom, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I'm interested in design. She did it. Like, let me see what she's doing. So I don't want to stray from that because that's how I started.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's the little tweak in there of how a designer could think about it for themselves. For instance, when you are regularly having conversations with your clients, is your personal life a normal part of that dialogue? Or is it not really, right? Because I could see that, I'm thinking, you know, if it isn't like, hey, I can't come see you at 3:00 because I'm picking up the kids after school. If somebody, for instance, if a client calls up and says, I'd like to see XYZ person at 3:00, one firm might answer that by saying, oh, I'm sorry, my principal is not available that day at 3:00. I can make it at 2. Or she would love to see you on that day, but she could do it at 5. And another firm might say, oh, she picks up her kids at 3:00. Can she come at 5? You see, I feel like however you handle your real life business is probably a little window to how you would handle the Instagram business, right?
Right. And I do. Honestly, whenever I talk to a potential client, I always call my son by his name because they always are finding me through Instagram. So they're actually messaging me first on Instagram and then I answer them. Right. And then I tell them, you know, please email my business email, and they do. So we're always talking, but they always kind of know who I am, my style, and my Instagram. They'll always go back to when I ask them what their style is, or I give them a questionnaire to fill out, and they'll always write the dining room you did with, you know, the so they're referring back to my Instagram all the time.
Yeah. No, I love it. That's awesome. So, and at what point, I know that you started your Instagram in 2012. By 2017, you've got people who are saying, hey, will you do design for me? And you start doing some e-design. And by 2018, you crossed over into full design. So was there a period before 2017 where people were asking and you were just like, no? Or was that when they started and you just thought, you know what, I'm going to do this?
Yeah. So they always asked. And I actually, in 2013, I signed up for a design class in my neighborhood. And I got a job the same day. And my boss of that old job was like, you know what are you going to do? You're going to go to school at night, or are you going to come to work in the morning? And I'm like, you know what, I'll cancel out of that course. So I canceled out, and I still always did my Instagram and my home decor projects. And I would always get followers asking like, do you do this for a living? And I would say no. And then when I didn't go back to corporate after I had my son, I was getting asked like, can you help me do this? And, you know, I was like, let me say yes, I can help you. Let me try. So I did. And then I just kept pushing myself a little bit. And then I finally got the opportunity to design, but also install. And I grabbed it. And from there, I just posted everything I was doing, because again, this was my only install I've ever done. So I wanted to make sure I was photographing it. I was bringing everyone along. So even if you found me and you never followed me, you were like, oh, she's a designer.
Right.
I did that. And from there, I just got so many clients. And you know what? I did do what everyone does. I said yes to everything. And I did overwhelm myself. So that's why this year I've learned lessons from last year and I'm taking it a little slower. But yeah, I just said yes. And I'm still learning to say yes, because sometimes I still feel like, oh, you have 47,000 followers on Instagram. You know what? I'm not big enough to post this yet, or I'm not big enough to show them my tips. Maybe my tips aren't great. I don't, I'm not that experienced. So I'm still working on that too.
Exactly. Okay. Well, it just goes to show we all have the voice in our head. It's just how much space do we give it and how loud do we let it get, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so now we go back to the strategies for Instagram. So we're in this room, we're talking to designers. They're like, Jaclyn, how do I get 47,000 followers? Okay. So, and I really can't say enough how I don't think that that's the goal. The goal is, however many followers, if you're doing it for business, is to convert it to people.
Right. How are you marketing? Because it's Instagram, you're marketing yourself. So it is frustrating when you are designing beautiful homes, you're paying a photographer to take your pictures of your projects, and then your website is only getting 28 views a month. That's annoying because Instagram is crazy. I could see my daily views on my page. I'm not getting the same on my website.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's not about the followers, but it definitely helps.
Right. And what do you think it is? So we have the overall look to decide and have a strategy for your look. That's basically what tip 1 was. And then do we get involved in things like the number of posts a day or number of posts a week? Like, what are the next important things for somebody who is trying to build?
Yeah. So I think that tagging, I know a lot of furniture, like the wholesale vendors, you tag, but I tag a lot of retail vendors as well, because they repost a lot. So getting reposted, even if it's a, Pottery Barn, I tag them. I share with other designers. That is so helpful. Like I post Sara Lynn Brennan. So I posted her before. Even designers will reach out and ask me, do you want to share each other? So I'll share one on Tuesday. She'll share me on Friday. So it looks organic. And you're getting your name out there that way as well.
Okay. And so when you are doing the share of another designer, so you're
only on my story. I don't do it I'll do it on my feed sometimes, but I make sure that's like a very fine line, because a lot of times what happens if you share it on your feed, a company can repost it and then not repost that it was the designer. They might say it's my work. So that's happened before and it's a little sticky. So I do like to just maybe take a picture of the designer's whole feed and then put it in my story and then tag her and say oh, check out her work. She's inspiring. Her feed is beautiful. And I have to say that if you engage with your followers a lot, which I really do, I try to answer every single message. I try to answer every comment. They trust who you're following, so they will follow as well. If you're saying follow Sara Lynn Brennan Interiors, they will follow her. And I've had a designer write to me after we shared and said, I've asked other people to share me and I've gotten maybe 10 followers. And she said, I got 200 followers when we shared each other.
Wow.
So I really think that connecting, I've seen it so many times. I've even asked, influencers that do fashion or design, where did you get that top? And they never answer you.
Yes.
And it's you're posting it for a reason. At least answer your followers.
Right. And so what do you think, for instance, when you are at 47,000 followers and, Sara Lynn Brennan's at 14,000 followers or whatever she is, that's one thing that you organically noticed her feed. You liked it. Maybe you heard her on the show and you went and looked her up or whatever. Right. But would you, you could see when somebody that has less would benefit, like that one woman that told you that, hey, when we did our share, I got 200 more. But for you, when you organically just admire somebody's work, I get it. But when you're going to do a share for a share, is it just practical that you would ask somebody that's at least more in the level of your following?
I mean, yes, but no. I mean, I don't really even look at that, because a lot of times I was shared so I did a do-it-yourself wreath project around Christmas time, and she had 7,000 followers. She's a wedding planner. I got more followers from just her sharing my do-it-yourself than if I asked my friend who's a designer in Florida. She has 174,000 followers, and she's shared me before. She always does. I don't get a lot of followers when she shares me, but I got probably 500 followers when the wedding planner shared me.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. That is interesting.
It is. But the algorithm always changes. It's so hard it's really so hard to understand. Sometimes I'll post on Monday and my content gets pushed, and then I'll post tomorrow and I get nothing.
Right.
So it's hard to figure out.
And you just got to be patient and just keep plugging through.
Yeah, like I mean, I've been at a standstill on my Instagram growing wise, but right now I don't even think I'm trying to grow as much as I just want to have new work to share this year. So I'm working right now on projects. And then when I photograph them, I want to be able to share new work. Because right now I'm posting my work from last year and just lifestyle.
Now, when you identify somebody that you might, so this is advice for designers listening. If you identify somebody that, I think it should start with something that someone you truly do align with their work, right? That you're not just like, hey, somebody that you really can say something honest and authentic about, right? Okay.
I don't just, if people have asked me to share and I just say like, oh, I'm not nicely, I'm not sharing this month. I would never share work that I actually don't like and say, oh, I love her work. No, I only share, feeds that are similar style to mine or women that I admire, even if I don't love their work, but I see that they work super hard and they're always answering their followers and we just became friends and we bounce ideas off of each other. I still share.
Okay, I like that. So once you have somebody that you feel aligned with, whether it's aesthetic or work ethic or whatever, is the advice to just DM them and say, would you like to do a share for a share, or do you do a formal email? Like, how do you handle that?
Yeah, so you would just message them and say, I love your work. Are you interested in sharing? Because lately that is the way to go. And I see a lot of people doing it on stories as well. Instead of just posting the feed, they'll talk and they'll introduce like you do in the beginning of your show. They'll introduce the feed that they're going to share. I've done that a few times. I don't necessarily love going on my stories. That's something I'm getting over, but that does work very well when you actually talk about the feed you're going to share or the person's Instagram.
Okay. And again, just to clarify, that reminds me that we have to clarify, you're not doing this on your main feed. You're sharing it in stories. And so it's not as crazy risky, but the idea is that it still should be somebody that there's something, it's kind of what I said at the beginning of the show. There's something to learn from every person that we speak to. So it has to be something that you admire about this person, whether it's their design aesthetic or their work ethic or whatever it is. But you're not just saying, she asked me to share her stuff, so I'll do it. Like, you have to be able to be truly, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, so I get girls messaging me all the time in my, you know how it goes into two separate messages.
Yes, I know. Right. That's so weird. Why all of a sudden did that happen? That's so
I don't know.
Bizarre.
They think they're being organized, but they're making it more confusing.
I know. It's so weird. That primary and the general, right?
Primary, general.
I don't know the difference between the two. I'm just like, whatever.
And then I'm sending people to my general. I wanted them in primary. Who knows? Who knows what goes on? But so they'll message me like, hi, I just started my business. Can you follow me? And I don't like when people do that because and I'm like, no. And then sometimes you have people asking, can you share this GoFundMe? You have a lot of followers. I'm like, no, it just doesn't, it has nothing to do with my feed. Like, I'm sorry.
Right.
I can't do that.
Right. And do you actually answer them and say no, or do you just let them? Oh,
no, I do. I try to answer everybody. I mean, of course, sometimes you open it and then, you just don't go back to it. But I've said no so many times.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that I get a lot is, oh, we're a new company and this and that, and we, are rug importers, or we have the best, this, that, or the other thing, accessories, and we'd love for you to put us in one of your design projects. I'm like, really? Follow my feed there, do you? Okay, awesome. Like, I don't do any design projects.
Right. Or the accounts that want to collaborate with you, but it's just it's nothing that I would ever buy. So I'm not going to collaborate and take a picture of it and say like, oh, I love this, when I don't. Right. And it's just not organic in my feed at all. Like, oh, here's an air freshener that I'm collaborating with. Like, no.
I know. I had a company reach out and wanted to sponsor the show, and they were cleaning products. I'm like, I'm not so sure that's a good fit.
But some people do that, and they do very well. Yeah. I'm friends with girls, we started out together and they already blew past me in followers because they take every collaboration, they just go for it.
Right.
I just don't do that.
Well, you know what it is? It comes down to what is your why, right? So your why is that you have now decided that you are going and you are running an interior design firm. So if your why is I want to have 500,000 followers so I can make affiliate marketing money, then maybe you do take every collaboration under the sun, and that's what happens, right? But when your why is I want clients to do interior design work with, then it doesn't make sense to collaborate with an air freshener company.
Maybe if I hung it on the lamp, it
would. Okay. All right. So the idea is that maybe you've met a designer at a market or something and you've become friends or associates, or you just sort of know each other through social, and maybe you reach out by DM and you say you want to do a share for share on stories. And that could simply be a screen share of their profile with maybe a share of one of the rooms that they did, or you can actually verbally introduce them in a story and say, you know, I've met this designer, I know her through Instagram or him through Instagram, and I wanted to tell you what I liked about their work.
Right. And I also think that one of the main reasons lately that I've been getting so many followers is that I take them through the entire process. So if I'm designing, I'm showing them what the design looks like before presentation. Then I present. I show them that day that I'm presenting. And I'll have people message me like, I can't wait to see this project. And they love it when I walk into the room and it's empty or it's the old room. And then I do everything. I do it on, like I set my phone up on the tripod and I do a recording. I do like the time lapse and I record all day long. And then I post it in my stories. So they really were with us during the whole entire design process. And I feel like people really love to see that.
So let me get a handle on that. So let's say it's, what are we talking about? So say you're doing an install of a living room. You basically set the phone up in the beginning of the day. I bought a tripod on Amazon. I set it up in the beginning of the day and I just let it roll on the time lapse feature we all have it on the iPhone and no one touches the phone. So I'm just doing my normal day. And then at the end of the day, it's probably 8 hours, 9 hours. And I go home and I edit it into a 15-20 second clip. But you could actually see the room coming together. And then I post the before and the after. And people were crazy over it. So how do you edit 8 hours down to 15 or 20 seconds? It seems like it would take 8 hours to figure out what's 15 or 20 seconds to share.
So the time lapse does it for you because it speeds up the video. But then I have an app called Video Shop, and I use that to add music and to edit the clips. Sometimes I cut certain clips out that I didn't want on there, like the contractor sitting there hanging something for 2 hours.
Right.
And I throw it all together. And once you put it all together, you don't even notice that it's all different times of the day. So I just make sure that the important parts are in there, like how the room is empty in the beginning, us bringing everything in, and then setting everything up, and then styling. And then I do like the pan around the room super slow so you could see the end result. Because sometimes people don't even realize how much work. They just see like, wow, that living room was empty. And now, you know, she just furnished the whole room. But like so much time and effort and tears and sweat go into that. And I like that they could actually see, because sometimes I'll go on a consult and they'll say, we're not sure if we want full design yet. And then some clients are like, you know what? I saw what you did in the, project of the bathroom. And I'm not up for that. So I need you to come in. I need you to style everything.
Okay. And what would you say, how much time does it really take you? And of course, you've got experience doing it, but when you've finished an install day and you have 8 hours of time-lapse video, what would you say, Jaclyn? Does it take you 20 minutes, an hour? What does it take you to get that down to something that you're going to post on your stories?
It would probably 1 to 2 hours.
See, that's the killer right there. 1 to 2 hours. That's the deal breaker.
Sometimes less, sometimes more. Sometimes I feel like if I really want to post like a sneak peek of something, I could do it in 20, 25 minutes. But if I really want to keep it on my stories, my highlights, it takes me 1 to 2 hours.
That's the part that you always have to think about, because it's enough to just set it up and do all that other stuff. But when you talk about having, followers in the 50,000 person range and talking about 99% of your clients are coming from Instagram, we're talking about a significant investment in your time, energy, and thought process and strategy in your Instagram. It's not just like, hey, I post a picture every day and clients call me.
Right. No, I mean,
this is a part-time job.
It really is. And even for next month, I'm thinking in my head, what can I do besides my design projects? What can I do in my house that I could bring along? What could I post? Because I want to continue to post on my feed. And sometimes I have to be honest, if I don't post during the day, I get upset at myself. Like, how did I not make time? It's Instagram. It's not hard. But when you think about it, it really is hard, because I take my pictures with a real camera, DSLR, and I have to edit it, and I have to make sure that it looks good. Then I put it into the other app, make sure that it all goes. I also link it on Reward Style. I don't know if we talked about that yet. Platform that, okay. Yeah. So I link certain vendors with Reward Style. Reward Style is a app that you could basically make money off of Instagram for fashion, beauty, and lifestyle. So if Pottery Barn is able to link their sofas, I would link the sofa or the rug. Amazon, you could link everything. So I'm putting it into Reward Style if I can, and I'm linking everything there first, and then I'm putting it onto my Instagram so that you could actually shop my picture.
Okay. So that gets us into some little like murky waters. You know what I mean? I know some designers would be like, I would not want to do that. I would not want to, post, and do retail thing and send people out to buy it. And then others would say, I think it does kind of come down to what we said a moment ago, the why, right? Mm-hmm. But if your business model is that you have enough followers on Instagram and one of your revenue streams is affiliate marketing, then there's something that you have to think about there at least and consider it as a strategy, right?
Right. I do both. If somebody asks me, where did you get those oversized frames? They only sell to the trade. I'm sorry. But if it's a runner from Amazon for $29.99, I'm going to tell her, because it's worth it for me. If 20 people buy it, I make an extra $200.
Right. Okay.
No one's going to go to the trade vendor, but I can make an extra doing little things like that.
Sure. Exactly. Okay. All right. So we have to take this into account for Riel, this 1 to 2 hours of putting together this edit. And then talk to me about the answering of all of the comments and the DMs. Hey, I do this every single night after I put my 2-year-old to bed. I do it all during the day, chaotically, whenever I have a moment. Like, what's your feeling on that?
So I do both. I do try to set a time at night to go through my inbox, but also during the day, if I post a story and it's about the runner in my kitchen, then I expect people to ask me questions. So I will already have the link saved for Reward Style, that if someone says, where is this from? I just copy paste.
Okay.
But it's not all day. If I was doing that, I would think I would get super flustered and confused. So I do set a time at the end of the night. I'll sit on the couch and I'll just go through my messages. And a lot of times I really have to do that because I'm getting potential clients that way. So they all go into the folder that I can't see. So I have to go through and make sure and redirect them. Hey, this is my business email. Please email me here.
Right. Okay. And did you hear the episode with Amber Lewis? I mean, and she was telling us how in the beginning, hours and hours and hours of really going in and answering every single person. Like, this is no joke if you really want to build a massive following.
It is. And then there's also a line too. I mean, someone asked me once, hi, I'm redoing my house. Is it okay if I send you the plans and you could help me? And I was like, I can help you as much as I can, but if you're interested in my design services, you could email me here and I could show you my packages. So a lot of times too, it's a line to be drawn. What is answering your clients and being nice? And then where does the line get drawn of when do you start charging? So some designers want to charge for answering questions at all. I've noticed that on Ivy when I'm part of the discussions that other designers are asking, like, when do you send an invoice for just helping people on social media?
Whoa.
Right.
Huh. I'm going to stay away from that one right now.
Yeah, no, right. But I don't know how in detail she got or how many questions she was answering, but I notice it too with pictures as well. I mean, I take all my own pictures, but sometimes they'll ask, well, how much do you sell your pictures for on Instagram or your media kits and things like that? And I don't know. I've never sold a picture of mine. If a company asks, they ask and I allow them to post it. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Right. Well, this is the thing. It's figuring out what's right for you. I mean, I think that as long as you are legitimately attracting your client to you, their ideal client to you, and you're making your money that way, these other decisions you can make as you go along and decide if they feel right, if they feel good, if they feel, ethical to you or not. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, you just kind of figure that part out. So, right. All right. So we're talking about that. We've got this grid thing that we're looking at. Then we are mixing for your particular aesthetic and for your particular personality and feed. You have a little bit of pictures of yourself, zoomed in pictures, larger room shots. You're tagging vendors. You're doing a designer share on stories. Mm-hmm. I like that you do it stories only because the reason that you stated was because that way you can credit the designer. You don't have to worry about somebody else reposting and leaving out the fact that, you had reposted that and that the original designer doesn't get credit. Yeah. And then we could talk about people verbally in our stories, and they can do that for us as well. That you're using the app Video Shop and the time-lapse app on the telephone, and that this particular type of story for you is particularly effective, is this whole day install reveal, and that when you do it, you take the time to take 1 or 2 hours to edit it, because then you're going to save it as a highlight. And that's probably, it sounds like what you're saying is when people find your account and then they go through your highlights, it's, it wasn't a story. It wasn't this 8 hours of filming, this 2 hours of video editing for it to go away in 24 hours. You're like making sure that it stays, and then people are able to see that whether they find you that day or in 2 months, correct?
Yeah. So they could just go back and you could even make it a portfolio, mm-hmm. just the highlights. So mm-hmm. I do like to save it, and I'm proud of it.
Right. And you should be. 10 hours worth of work. I'd be proud of it too. And so what else? Is there anything else that you think is like, you're particularly like, oh, wait, we got to make sure to tell them this or tell them that?
I'm trying to think what else.
Anything in regard to consistency, time of day, or is that all just crazy and changes like the wind and from one part of the country to another?
No, well, if you have the business account on Instagram, it kind of tells you what the best time of day is to post. I don't necessarily think that works for me, but I do think that posting every single day, because then you're showing your followers that you're always there for inspiration. You're reliable. If I just post on Monday and then I don't post for another 2 weeks, people ask, where are you?
Right.
What are you doing? And also I just think that it's good to post every day, because you're posting new content and people want to come back to see what you're posting.
Right.
There'll be projects that I start and it takes a long time, obviously. And I'll have followers asking me like, are you almost done with this? Or like, what happened to this project? So that's something, again, that I'm working for my own house as well, to just continue to post the reveal. I get caught up and then I'm like, oh, I never posted my pantry finished, and they want to see it.
That's interesting, because I don't recall who said it to us, but I do recall someone saying that rather than like, if you are like, say you're like, here's this an empty closet, I'm going to make it a pantry, and maybe you're having some carpentry work done to it, and you're doing all this lovely stuff to it, and maybe it takes a week or maybe it takes 2 months. But I do remember somebody saying to take all the progress pictures, mm-hmm. but especially if it's 2, 3, 4 months until the finished product, then to post the whole thing at one time, not to have people be like, okay, there's the empty room, I guess we'll see the finished product in 6 months, right?
Right. So, and I do that when I'm doing say I know that I'm installing the living room today, when I do post the final reveal, like the movie that I've edited, I bring it back to the beginning in my stories, like, remember this before, and then I'll show them the actual design that I presented to the client, so they could see all the stages again. Like, and then for the final reveal, this might be a good tip. So for the final reveal, I post it on my feed, and then I used the tool that you could send the post to your stories, and then I cover it with like a sticker that says new post or before and after, and then I'll write like, come see the reveal on my feed. So you could just click the post in my story and it'll bring you to my feed so you could see the reveal. So you're attracting more followers to your feed.
Cool. That's very cool. I like that. So you don't actually, as a rule, do live so much, like yourself personally live. Like Chris loves Julia, right? Julia Markham.
Yeah.
She's talking all day long to everybody. I mean, you know, she's just so comfortable and she's so personable, but that's not your tactic. You're pretty much using video and still pictures, or whatever they call those. What do they call them? Static pictures.
Yeah. So yeah, I've actually never done a live. That's just me because I'm scared. But also it's different for everybody, but I feel for me as someone who uses Instagram, and for girls that I follow, I don't like it when, you know, you log on to their story and there's 4 million dots at the top, because I'm like, whoa, I can't watch all these stories. Like there's no way I'm getting to that. So I try to just get to the point with my stories. Like I try to plan it out. If I know I'm going to reveal this dining room, what am I posting for my before? Maybe sometimes I'll use the app Unfold. It's another picture app, and I could put 2 or more photos in one story slide, so that I don't have to do story, because I just feel like it's so much. And then by the time I could see it, I look at who's viewing it. It's like, you know, 8,000. Then it goes down to 7, then it goes to 4, because people are just swiping through. They're not finishing my story. Right,
exactly. Okay, so that's like a good point here. Like, let's take a little rundown of the different apps that you use. So we have the Video Shop app. Is that what it's called? Video Shop?
Yes.
And then we have this Unfold. And then, of course, you have Reward Style if you're going to do some affiliate marketing. And then what other kinds of apps do you have?
I use Visco to edit, as well as Snapseed.
Okay, Visco and Snapseed.
And then I use the app Retouch to edit. Say there's lint on the floor, or there's a thermostat that I don't like, or anything in the picture that I just don't want it there. You could edit that out. So I use the app Retouch.
Oh, cool. Okay. And then, of course, you're using Planoly. That's the Planoly. Okay. Anything else that we should know about?
I think that those are my
go-tos.
Those are my go-tos. Yes.
Okay. Very cool. That's helpful right there. All of that information. Okay. And so you're probably one of the very few people that has great success with the growing the Instagram following, that of late, in the last 6-8 months that I've talked to, that really isn't utilizing the live feature. You know what I'm saying? So it means it's possible.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, maybe I should use it more.
Well, I mean, everybody I've talked to, you know, says that you'll just get that much more if you do. But I'm with you. It's the discipline that it takes to do it. I have not been willing to commit to yet. Even when I've probably 20 times on a Monday said, okay, starting this Monday, I'm going to do it. And I get as far as Monday. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going live today and Tuesday.
Right. So maybe this year, as a goal for me, is during an install, go on live really quick in the beginning. So because I don't know, I think I was talking to you about it. I do think Instagram rewards you. They roll out those stickers, and they're like, oh, take the poll. And I feel like the more you use their features, the more they're going to push your content and reward you. I think
playing their game.
Yeah, you have to play their Instagram game. And I think that live is one of those features, because I have heard that lives are great for growing your following. I just don't do it because I'm scared.
That's funny. Oh my goodness. Any other types of story type posts that work good for you? So this time lapse, this full day reveal, the before, and during and after. Are there any other types of categories for you that you're like, oh, this is another go-to category for me that works really well?
Honestly, being real and just real life. When I am So I normally get all the accessories and I organize them in my house, and then I pack them and I bring them to the car at night. I just try to show it. I show the mess, and I show what's really going on. And I feel like I relate to a lot more people that way. And even has nothing to do with design. I know this is a design podcast, but even though I'm a mother, so I'm trying to work, I have a toddler, and I just try to show a little bit of everything that I'm doing it. I'm getting it done.
Wow. So what you're saying is, I mean, I can imagine it. Just thinking about having a husband, a 2.5-year-old, and I've got a reveal installed tomorrow, and I've got all of this stuff that I've been picking up, or it's been being delivered to me for the last whatever amount of time, and now I'm going to bring it all over in my car tomorrow. And yeah, he's in the high chair, and I'm making trips to my garage, and I didn't, don't want to break that, and blah blah blah. So you're basically taking little videos of this process as like you're doing it.
Yeah, I've showed my husband carrying because I use like these little bins for my accessories. So I've showed my husband carrying them to my car at 12:30 at night. I put the timestamp on there. So like I just try to show as real as I can be as well in my story. So I do design, and then I'll throw in some motherhood, or I'll throw in the mess or the mistake that I made.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. It really is. I mean, because I'm sitting here thinking that's hard enough doing all of that. Now you got to remember to videotape it too while you're doing it.
Yeah. Again, that's why Instagram is a job.
Exactly.
That causes me great stress.
It's true. It's so true. But it's funny because I've said it on the show 100 times. Back in the day when we wanted new clients, we put an ad in the paper, and the only thing we had to do to put the ad in the paper was call the advertising rep, tell them what days we wanted it to run. We didn't have to lay the ad out. We just said what we wanted into it. They sent us a proof, and we said yes or no. And the whole time, all of that was going on, that the artwork was being done, and it was being laid out, and it was getting done. We were selling window treatments while that was going on. Now, in order to advertise to people, we have to do this whole other thing while we do the work that we do. It's like beyond.
You have to dance for them. You have to do all this stuff. I have friends that are like, you need to show yourself more. And it's like, how much more can I, but like, I understand it, and I do. And I really do love it. Sometimes it's overwhelming for me, and I will take a break. I will. I won't post for a few days, but I've seen great success with growing my Instagram this way. So I will just continue to do it. And if I learn anything new, I will try to jot it down and hopefully help people learn.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. It's, I would say, the last one thing I want to know is, do you have it in like a strategy approach where you have blocked out a certain day each week that you plan ahead for the week or for the month or anything like that? Or are you doing it on the fly?
So no, I've always been doing it on the fly, but this year I bought a planner. I'm staring at it right now. I even brought highlighters, and I am trying to be more organized and try to actually plan it out. So I have, for my own home, reached out to certain vendors to see if they wanted to collaborate. So I am trying to plan out some projects for my house, and then I'm planning out what I'm going to do for clients. Like if I go shopping, I do want to show my followers like where I'm shopping, and because Home Goods, sometimes I will buy accessories at Home Goods, and they've asked to collaborate, but not so much for the money, but they'll say like, oh, if you want to walk around and show them what you're buying, and then we could do like a giveaway. Maybe my followers can get a $50 gift card or something like that. And I think that that's nice to give back to your followers as well.
Sure.
I know a lot of people that do that, and I love that, the giveaways.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's awesome. I mean, because it is a little reward for your followers. And, I would say, I have no idea if it's 60%, 70%, but, it's not uncommon for an interior designer to fill out a project with the local stores like that, whether it's Home Goods or a one-off owned boutique from somebody. I don't know that every firm does it. In the higher echelon that you go, probably less likely, but I feel like most people are, that there's just a little need here and there for some certain things, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Jaclyn, I mean, thank you. This is just like, the Instagram is this conundrum. I do think that ultimately it starts with why are we doing something? And in your case, you're getting 99% of your clients through Instagram. So you're doing something right. And on Instagram, you're Jaclyn Marie, and it's JACLYNMARI_.
Yes.
Okay. And then your design firm is Jaclyn Marie, spelled IE, MARIE Interiors.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
That's correct. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I thank you so much for sharing your tips with us. We're so happy and grateful to understand anything that we can do to help us get a little bit further ahead on this, crazy game of Instagram. But we appreciate you sharing your ideas, Jaclyn.
Thank you, LuAnn, so much.
Such a sweetheart, right? Don't you agree? Now, before I share some of my observations, I want to thank Article for sponsoring our show. You know that you can set up your trade account by going to welldesigned.article.com. All right. And once you are all set up there, you can place orders for mid-century styled furniture that literally can be delivered to your client this week. I have to tell you, a couple weeks ago, my son in LA found a sofa that he liked on Article. I promise you, I ordered it on a Friday and it was delivered to him that Monday. Okay. Easy, professional, beautiful. Go to welldesigned.article.com. All right. Now, as you heard in the show, my daughter, Christy, follows Jaclyn on Instagram. And when I asked Christy, why was she attracted to Jaclyn and why did she want me to have her on the show? She said, I like her design work, Mom. She goes, the work is beautiful. She said, the feed looks good. And she said, there's other things. She has a baby the same age as mine. I just get the impression that I could be friends with her. But I thought, too, that because she has such a nice Instagram following, that she could teach the other designers listening to your show about how she achieved that. But for me, I liked her and was attracted to her for those other reasons. Okay? And isn't that what social is all about? Presenting yourself as who you really are. So the people who would relate to you and are the people who will appreciate you and what you're doing are attracted to you. Okay. And yeah, I can tell you this too. This first thing my daughter asked me after I interviewed Jaclyn was, she said, is she as nice as she seems? And I said, yes. Yes, she truly is as nice as she seems. So show up as you. Do you in social media, and you will attract those that are like you. Okay. And of course, you know who the experts are in all things social media for interior designers. That's right. It's my friend Darla Powell and her team at Wingnut Social. Darla has created her entire interior design business by attracting clients through social media. And she teaches you how to do that too. And she also can do it for you. She can execute it for you if you're too busy to do it. Okay. And this April 24th, Darla will be one of my Power Talk Friday experts for our session at High Point Market. If you want to spend the entire day with some outstanding rock stars, go to powertalkfriday.com. This is a one-day paid coaching event, and the rock stars that I'm going to be having with me are Sandra Funk, Sara, Brennan, Merlitti. My husband, the Vin Man, will be there, Darla Powell, and of course, I'll be there with you too. So go to powertalkfriday.com. All right? Now, are you thinking about taking any of Jaclyn's advice today? Do you need to look at your grid and see what it looks like all together in those 9 little squares and see, does it feel cohesive? Does it look attractive, right? Do you need to start thinking about showing your process to prospective clients through your stories? Remember, Jaclyn said that was like one of the number one features that our followers liked, that she takes them through the install. And she talked about that time-lapse feature, right? So do you need to look at some of these apps and tools that she mentioned? Maybe it's time for you to play around with some of the tech and up your social media game. All right. Whatever it is, I hope you do it to the very best that you can. And I hope that you decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.